Happy Tuesday, Stampers. Today we're going to do a watercolor wash technique, which I know a lot of you done before, but I want to show you about using it as a background. So I've taken, this is a piece of watercolor paper, and then I've just taken a couple of drops of re-inker. For this demonstration, I'm going to use the Delightful Dijon and the pumpkin pie. And if you'll take your watercolor paper and squeeze out, ooh, they have a little bit of color in it. Put some water on there. If you don't have one of these watercolor pens, you could also just use a paintbrush and get the paper wet. Okay? Not soaking wet, but just make sure the whole surface is wet. And then I'll take a drop of my pumpkin pie, and I'll start at the top. You can see how the color spreads. Isn't this beautiful? Actually, that's the Delightful Dijon, but that's fine. Now I'll take a drop of the pumpkin pie, put that in, and again I keep working my way around. I need some more water down here until I get color, as much or as little color, all over the whole paper as I would like. And all I'm going to be doing is making a background, as you'll see in a minute, that I could use for a fall card. Okay, now while this is a little bit more orange down here, I think. While this is still wet, if you want to put a little bit more interest into the card, you can also add some salt to it. I like to use Epsom salts because the grains are so large, but you can use regular table salt. You can see on the Epsom salts how large they are. And if you'll take that and sprinkle it on the paper while it's still wet, and then allow it to dry, I'll show you the effect that that will give you. Okay, so let's put that to the side. And I do already have one that I did earlier. This one is without the salt, so you can see you have a nice background here. So let's say I want to make a Thanksgiving card. I can put my Dijon, and I put some Cajun craze, and I can put the background on there. And then using our new sleigh ride edgelits, I still call them thinlets, I cut out the trees, which is this one. Whoops, you can't hardly see these. It's got the trees and the sleigh and the houses. So I cut out the trees in green, and I cut out the houses in the Cajun. I could layer that on there. And then I just put a Happy Thanksgiving, which I could then put on the card right down here, and see what a cute little Thanksgiving card that would make, and how pretty the sky looks. Kind of a fall sunset kind of a look. Okay, but I could take the same piece of paper, and instead of making a Christmas card, or a Thanksgiving card, I could make a Halloween card. So let's give that a black background. We'll put our same paper down. I could then do the houses in black. You see where this is going, right? I then took a piece of the Dijon. I stamped a bat on it, cut out a circle, used my blender pen to put a little orange on there, used a sponge to put a little black ink around the edges. That would be my moon. Then I could cut out a couple of ovals, whoops, and give that a Happy Halloween. Isn't that cute? Same thinlets, but instead of looking like Thanksgiving or like Christmas, now it's like Halloween. Now, the interesting thing about these thinlets, though, is you can also use the negative side. So if I wanted to take the negative side here and use that like the sky, I could put the bat on there again, but it kind of looked plain. So if you'll take your white ink here and just a plain tissue and get some of the white ink on the tissue, get that out of the way, and then just blot it onto your white paper. Of course, it's not working now. Kind of gives you that eerie look to the sky. So again, then I could put this up here, put my little bat, and put my Happy Halloween down there. Okay, isn't that cute? Okay, but lastly, let's look at the Christmas card. So I had showed some of you Christmas cards that I had made using these new Thinlits. And these are those where I used our Gently Falling for the background. And you'll see these cards again because they're going to be on the choices for Christmas cards this year. But instead of doing this kind of a background, I wanted to try the watercolor wash. So I did the same thing. This is just with the watercolor. This is the watercolor with those Epsom salts like I had showed you. So then if I wanted to take a piece of Night of Navy, and this is just using navy re-inker, just one color re-inker. And I could put a piece of the silver on here, and then I could put the watercolor wash to give me that beautiful background. And then I could either put the trees, or the sleigh, or something else, or the houses like I did on this card. Still do my, Silent Night or my Merry Christmas or whatever on there. Okay, and one last tip though. I hate to use this huge piece of glitter paper for background because the whole thing is going to get covered up. So if you want to, you can take your glitter paper, and on this one I cut out 3 ornaments because I knew that I'll probably be using these on tags this year. Then when I mount my watercolor paper here, you won't see those cutouts, but I haven't used the whole piece of the silver glitter paper in order to make my card. So again, that's using the watercolor wash background a bunch of different ways. As soon as this one dries, all I have to do, you can see how it's kind of starting to make the little circles. All I have to do is then brush off the salt. See how you get that kind of a really cool background? Okay, so I hope you learned something today. Have a great Tuesday and a great rest of the week. Thanks.